Alright, so last time we were tasked with finding all of the graviton cores. You'll notice we have the one that we got from way back in the beginning of the game.
Woo. Marginally less busy work for us.
Yeah. So, first of all, since we're here, we'll start by heading into Erba and grabbing that one.
Yeah, like I said, as we said at the end of the last video, it is a small mercy that they give you a pretty good clue for where each one is. So if you pick up on that, you can massively cut down on the amount of pain that it takes.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, just if you can recognize even a single landmark in the picture, that'll get you in the right general area, and that alone makes it infinitely easier.
However, most people playing through this could be forgiven for missing that, and if you miss those, there's no reminder that there's a massive hint there. No one else in the game tells you, like, oh, we've given you a picture. There's no prompt to look at it, so if you miss that detail, you are in for a world of boredom. I guess it's possible that they might have been trying to justify this in terms of, like, okay, now go do some side quests and maybe you'll find this stuff while you're at it. Kind of like what a lot of open world games do, where they have a point in the plot that requires you to do stuff, but they also have these other things that when you get within a certain distance of them, it will alert you, like, hey, there's a thing here, but you don't know where they all are in advance. So you go around, like, just doing whatever, and you're more or less guaranteed to find enough. But this is not that well-designed a game.
Yeah. So, we have skipped the one in Academia, primarily because I could not find it, so we're just gonna head straight to the Yashas 100, where we will... There is a core here, and there is also a nifty little side quest of sorts, so we might as well knock them both out.
Also, you might have noticed the incredible title of this episode, The Rubies of Grief. Yeah.
Something is happening in the ruins of what was once the most prosperous city in the world. Many of the scientists and researchers who came to investigate...
They're introducing this like it's an episode of Fringe or something.
Sphere-shaped objects appear in their place. Mog seemed
But
to know all about the orbs. He told us they're called the Rubies of Grief.
okay, so why is Noel narrating the things that Mog told them? Why aren't we just getting a conversation in which they're like, hey, what's this shit? And then Mog's like, they're the Rubies of Grief, Kupo.
Well, in this case, we get to hear Noel's voice actor instead of Mog's, and I'm fairly certain that I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Does seem somewhat arbitrary, though. I mean, I would be marginally more okay with having to put up with more Mog if they were at least honest about what they were doing. Ugh. So... oh no, that's cool, lady. There's a bunch of shit going on here that we don't understand, and we're the foremost scientific institution in all of existence, but we're just going to let random strangers wander around this place.
Hey man, we came out of that gate. We're not just any strangers, we're time travelers.
They would totally let any strangers do it, though.
Yes, they would.
I believe you described this side quest as kind of cool?
Well, it culminates in something somewhat cool.
Oh, okay. That's a very important distinction.
Yeah, no, the actual side quest itself is just a bunch of fetch quests, because that's all the side quests ever are. But it does ultimately end in a pretty good fight.
Alright then.
That fight is not in this video, just before you get your hopes up. Just saying.
No.
Anyway, yeah, red orbs. Fetch quests.
It's a text dump. It's not even like a screen-filling dialogue box like we're used to getting, it's just a bunch of text on a screen. Oh, now it's a screen-filling dialogue box. Why is the quest synopsis not just what he said in a screen-filling dialogue box? Why did it have to be he talks at us, only not, and then we get a screen-filling dialogue box?
Because now you're looking for consistency, and that is not how this game rolls.
I see. That is a red chocobo.
But we already have a red chocobo. We don't need to ride this one.
I don't think our red chocobo is quite like this one.
No, it's not. But, yeah, this one's a little special, because these guys, they actively drain your Gishel Greens as long as you are riding them, and we do not have enough to justify using them right now, so...
Yeah, I don't think we can ride that chocobo. Oh well, later.
Rest assured, we will be back and we will ride one, but not at the moment.
Ah, I see we're employing the humble speed up. Did you get lost?
No, there's a thing. I heard it and I'm looking for it. But it's actually underneath of this.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, the treasure cubes make a quite distinctive sound. So it's, like, only moderately maddening to try and find one that you can't see.
But yeah, there are about 5 or 6 side quest items just kind of scattered around like that. So it's, like, I knew I had to look for them, and it was like, I heard the one, and I was like, alright, where the fuck is this thing? So that was why that was sped up.
And naturally the side quest items are all, like, floating around in these random boxes and not just, like, lying around in the environment and contextualized. Like, you know, something that a competent level designer would be able to do.
Well done.
Not bitter at all, by the way.
I have super low everyday prices, so no haggling.
Yeah, that's nice.
Jogelina continuing to justify why she acts like a vending machine rather than a salesperson.
Your business is
I mean, besides glorious JRPG traditions, I mean. It's one of the things that I appreciate about Western RPGs is that they give you haggling mechanics in shops.
I don't know, I usually find it too much bother. It's either totally broken or too much of a pain in the ass to be worth using, so I usually don't.
Oh, I appreciate the thought, at the very least.
Yeah, so, here's an annoying thing about those red orbs. You can only activate one of them at a time.
That's incredibly dumb.
Or, I guess, more accurately, it would be like, until you finish the first one, the second one won't activate. But there are like 5 of them scattered around the Yashas, and it's a huge pain in the ass.
Yeah, it does. It's pretty arbitrary and dumb and kind of irritating, especially once you like finish the first one, and then you're like, okay, which of the 4 is now the active one? I guess I'd better go and trek around the entire map.
And remember, the only chocobos in this area are ones that constantly drain your Gishel Greens.
Yeah. Basically, the net result of that is you got chocobos that charge by like the second.
come on, Mom.
And that's just no fun at all. Pretty much your only real solace here is to get your guy so ludicrously powerful that you can end any fight in like a second. Which, being Final Fantasy XIII-2, is not very difficult to accomplish.
Yeah, honestly, we're about 80% of the way there ourselves anyway, so...
Getting pretty powerful.
Come on, Mom.
Ah, that's not a cube.
Nope, that one's just a plain old treasure ball.
Am I right in recalling that the balls persist between time periods?
Yes, they do. So it's possible that's just one that I missed from earlier. Or it might not have been accessible, that's also not a thing.
I was trying to remember if the thing that you just picked up was a side quest item or not.
No, anything in a ball is usually not a side quest item.
Yeah. I mean, you know, if they were more careful with that, they could have made something, you know, moderately interesting or notable out of the mechanic. Having items that either could or could not exist in multiple time periods. Some kind of puzzle. Again, I can bring up the example of Chrono Trigger and those sealed boxes, but no. You know, that's not a side quest item.
No, that one was an actual piece of equipment for Noel. Unfortunately, it's a magic sword, and that's really... yeah.
Yeah. Well then. Like, are we actually here on the Graviton Core business, or are we just deviating to go do a side quest?
Both, actually. There is a core here.
Okay. This might be giving the game a little bit too much credit, but is it even moderately likely that if you didn't know the core was here and you just came here to do side quests, that you would find it?
Well, well, it does explicitly say on the Graviton Core page that it is here and you get here from Academia. So, like, this one is your gimme, as it were. And, oh, that's a paradox thing. What is that doing here?
Yeah, those aren't supposed to be here, are they?
Oh, no, they're not. And this one has something real special in it.
Definitely an entry on the subject of not supposed to be here.
So, Thread, how do you feel about clock puzzles?
Well, I will tell you how most people feel about clock puzzles. Most people fucking hate clock puzzles. Now, there's a very good reason for this, but a lot of people aren't entirely aware of what it is. They're just aware on a vague level that these puzzles are bullshit hard. I mean, this particular one isn't, but most people are aware that this puzzle is complete bullshit. But the rules, as you can kind of see, are you step on a number, and the number that you step on is the number of steps that you have to take to get to the next number, and you have to step on all the numbers. Now, if you have ever had any computer science background in your life, ever, you will recognise this as what we in the business call a graphing problem. Now, these are basically Computer Science 101 homework. Now here's the thing, the particular puzzle that we're doing is a particular kind of graphing puzzle. It has a technical name, it's called a Hamiltonian path puzzle. Hamiltonian path is simply, given a graph, find a way to visit every node on the graph exactly once. Now, it has been proven several times by a lot of very smart people that Hamiltonian path problems are not just difficult, they're a very specific kind of difficult. Specifically, they're a kind of difficult called NP hard. Now, I don't want to get into a big lecture on complexity theory, because complexity theory is, appropriately quite complex. Also, the names of complexity sets make no sense, and I don't want to have to explain what they all mean, but suffice it to say, a problem that is NP hard, as it increases in size, becomes exponentially more difficult to solve. A tiny one might be, the first clock puzzle that we saw, the one with just the 1s and 2s and there were only 6 numbers, was pretty straightforward. Any idiot could probably do it in their head without too much trouble. But you start adding more nodes, and it gets difficult far faster than they get larger.
Alright, and just right here, you can see the exact second I was like, nope, we're cheating.
Yep. Now, the flip side to clock puzzles being Computer Science 101 homework is that the second the game came out, there were immediately, all over the internet, a whole bunch of people telling people exactly how to solve it. Within minutes, there was a website, the Final Fantasy XIII-2 Clock Puzzle Solver, that you just enter a clock puzzle and it will tell you the solution. Because this puzzle is not just hard, it's hard and arbitrary. And there is no way around the fact that it is bullshit to make a player of a video game dry run an MP hard pathfinding problem, sometimes under time conditions, in their head. It's total bullshit. This is not a problem that humans are meant to be able to solve mentally. Fuck clock puzzles. This has been your lecture for the day. Well, I really needed to get that off my chest.
So to briefly bring us back to the game here, the dark section is back from the first time we were here in the Yashas, but instead of spawning behemoths, it just spawns regular enemies, so there's really no point to it.
Yeah, what is even the point of that? Can you at least still, like, avoid fights by running into the light?
Yeah, you can do that, but the normal enemies are so weak at this point, there's no point in doing it. Anyway, yeah, let's go hand in a couple of these quests here.
Ugh. I can't take this quest dialogue seriously when it's coming from something called the Rubies of Grief. I was trying to remember what the adjective was. I wanted to say despair, but I think that might just be other threads impinging on my ability to remember things.
But this one was like a seed that never truly sprouted.
Ugh. This is some fucking MGS4 level dialogue here.
So this one is actually one of the few things I did not pick up while we were exploring the area, so now I gotta go back and grab this bullshit.
Have fun with that. I assume you did not have fun with that, which is why we're not seeing it.
Well, I had to run all the way back to the base camp, up near where the gate was.
Fun times. Are we literally taking time out from our game-spanning fetch quests to do other fetch quests?
We sure are.
I love this game. I might have been lying about loving this game. I like that when we started out, we had this, like, moderately concise grasp of what, quote, a paradox, unquote, was. But now they're literally talking about them like, a paradox is just a hole opening up in space-time that just swallows stuff, and then it disappears.
Well, yeah, I mean, what did you think a paradox was?
I was kind of starting to like them while I still thought that they were just objects that don't belong in this time period. Like, that's almost a compelling narrative hook. And then they went and fucked it up spectacularly.
To be fair, paradox also lost all meaning somewhere around, like, the second act, so...
You're not wrong. I just can't stop thinking about what this game could have been in the hands of somebody who wasn't just utterly obsessed with Final Fantasy XIII. I mean, you could write a pretty good game with this exact plot. And it would really be something.
I'm curious.
Right, so that last one did have something a little interesting. As it turns out, there was apparently some horrible monster that destroyed Padra.
Another one?
Yes. I mean, no, we don't... No, not the Undying. Of course not, silly.
No?
No. This is a completely different and unrelated monster that was never mentioned until now.
Of course. So we're gonna go kill it, right?
Well, no, you see, first we have to go unseal it, so that we can go kill it.
Alright, then it's sealed by a paradox.
It is.
And I dread to even ask, but...
Well, you see, Yule saw this monster, and she decided to seal it away at the cost of her own life to save the city. and now we're going to undo that seal so we can go back in time and fight it.
This sounds like a solid plan.
Said monster is also basically one of the, not a super boss per se, but definitely the sort of thing you do not want to fight until you are well into the post-game, so, yeah.
And of course it's hidden behind a bunch of clock puzzles. Did you know there is an actual, honest-to-God, real-life mathematician, researcher, whatever, who wrote an actual paper of sorts of the Final Fantasy XIII-2 clock puzzle, in which he more or less just proved that it's a Hamiltonian path problem and therefore is NP hard. He didn't actually go on to say, and therefore this puzzle is complete bullshit for a video game, but it was pretty implicit in the tone of what he said. But yeah, there's a lot of fairly concise stuff about it, and if anyone does actually manage to bring themselves to care, I will post a link to it in the thread, because if you're the kind of person who gives the first shit about this stuff, it is kind of almost actually interesting. But yeah, clock puzzles. Something so bullshit that several entire websites exist for the sole purpose of circumventing them.
There's a story that's been passed down for generations that the people
Alright, so yeah, now that we've unsealed this,
long ago
horrible monstrosity, we could go back to it's Yashas 1XAF, I believe. And we can fight it at our leisure. It will kick our shit in right now, but we could do it.
Cool. Is Yashas 1X the place that we already have been to? Or is it a new one?
No, that was the one after we solved the puzzles in Erba.
Ah, right, yes, that was the one where we solved the eclipse paradox by creating a timeline where it never happened, which counts as solving it.
Paradoxes!
Ugh.